The year 2022 has some of the best releases of JRPGs in modern gaming, but now the year is closely reaching its conclusion. It is time for me to decide which JRPG has given me the best experience here on this channel. Will it be Live Alive Remake, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Dealfield Chronicles, or Star Ocean's Divine Force? Let us dive right into it. First up is Live Alive Remake for Nintendo Switch, which released July 22nd, 2022. Personally, I didn't know what to expect from this title when it was first announced during a Nintendo Direct months ago. I wasn't excited nor disappointed during its reveal, but it intrigued me enough to want to give the game a try, since many RPG YouTubers have placed this game high on their top 10 list of JRPGs. The original game was never released outside of Japan back in the 90s, which was the golden era of the RPG genre. Square Enix releasing it now, but in the form of a remake, really showed that they were confident in this title. Once I got my hands on this incredible gem, it reminded me of why I love JRPGs to begin with. Live Alive not only recreates the 90s era's charm of the genre, but it also competes with any of the modern JRPGs of this generation. After playing through the game, I understood why this title was never released outside of Japan. This game was way before its time, and JRPGs were still finding its footing here in the West during the early 90s. The game had tackled many mature themes such as love, lust, racism, betrayal, murder, gang violence, and even human trafficking itself. Each of the 8 different heroes had given a unique experience provided with a gameplay experience that centered around their quirk. This game proves that graphics shouldn't be the only factor in whether or not you should give a game a try. After finishing the game, I couldn't stop thinking about the impact the story had left me with the weeks after the end credits had rolled onto the screen. The only issue I had with this game was the end game, because it felt like filler to pad out the game's length to 20 hours. Oh boy, here comes the juggernaut that is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. If you have been a subscriber to my channel for a very long time, then you already know how I feel about Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, I have made an in-depth video about how Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had invigorated my love for the JRPG genre, and it's responsible for the current growth of my channel and its direction. With that being said, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was the most anticipated JRPG of 2022 for me. During this reveal, within one of the Nintendo Directs, we had a glimpse of what we can expect from this title. The merging of both Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 worlds was going to unfold before our very own eyes. This had the community going crazy, and a ton of theories began to emerge on social media and content creation related to this series. I must make a confession here. This is the most playtime that I have ever put into a JRPG in a very long time. I mean a very long time. I'm talking 90s long time. I clocked in nearly 120 hours into this game. Just like the previous entries, there is so much content to the game that keeps you wanting to come back for more. Monolith Soft had done everything right in terms of gameplay and quality of life. I can now switch between party members during battle. They also introduced a class system in a Xenoblade game. I love class systems. When introducing heroes to the game, I knew it was my mission to collect them all and try to create the ultimate party setup that I possibly can. But besides the gameplay, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has some of the most fleshed out character interactions for the series to date. I enjoyed the banter between them. They each had clear goals and motivation. They showed weaknesses and expressed it to one another, which I grew an attachment to them by the time the game had ended. But where the game felt the weakest for me is the story itself. Despite the great cast of characters, the storytelling was a bit of a letdown, which you can hear my opinion on that with this video right here if you're interested. But it didn't ruin my overall experience of the game. Now this right here is going to be an interesting one. This game was announced out of left field, no pun intended. I was already high from the Square Enix goodness that was the Live Alive remake. Square Enix had already thrown another curveball with the announcement of Dealfield Chronicles. This was in fact a new IP from the company, which is something that I want to see more of from Square Enix moving into 2023. What intrigued me the most about this title is that it came off as somewhat of a Final Fantasy Tactics inspired game, which is something that I'm all for. But instead of it being grid-based tactical RPG, it was a real-time strategy RPG. Now I said to myself that Square Enix is really taking a risk with this genre, and I'm all for it. Dealfield Chronicles captured my heart with its art style, its unique cast of characters. The English dub voice acting is top-notch and fits the tone and setting for this title. If you play real-time strategy games and RPGs, then you will feel right at home. The combat has its own unique twist on the genre, and you are only allowed to have 4 units on the field at any given mission at a time, which would seem unfair at first, but with its unique mechanics, you are able to pair standby units with your in-play units, which act as a subclass for them. This enables you to use their abilities to complement them during battle. The characters and the story is the strongest aspect of the game in my personal opinion. It provides you with an actual encyclopedia or bible for the game's lore as you progress. You can read the characters for additional information and even more insight on the political war that is taking place during each chapter within the game. By the time you reach the end of the game, my jaw had completely dropped because the ending was not expected, and I pray to God that the game has its sequel greenlit because it simply can't just end the way it did. The sad part is that this is one of those type of games that will be overlooked because of its genre it was placed in. Do yourself a favor and give this game a try. The only downside to this game is the constant grinding of repeated missions in order to level up, and purchasing weapons get too damn expensive. Last but not least, we have Star Ocean Divine Force. At first it was hard for me to decide on what JRPG to play in October because Valkyrie Elysium was another Square Enix JRPG that was on my list of games to play. But after experiencing the demo, it confirmed my suspicion that it was trash. So Star Ocean Divine Force was the JRPG destined for me to close out 2022, and oh boy, where do I begin? For starters, I've been losing faith in Star Ocean series after the release of Till the End of Time on the PS2. The series didn't have the same charm as it did with the first 2 entries. After the release of Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness, it all but killed any excitement I had for the future of the series. So when Divine Force was announced, I was very skeptical and had very low expectations for this new entry. The game had then went silent for a bit until early 2022. The marketing for the title began to ramp up. This was the most marketing I've ever seen for any Star Ocean game of the past. We were presented with character introductions, story, and most importantly, gameplay mechanics. Tri-Ace was beginning to sell me on the idea of a new Star Ocean game, but it wasn't until they released the demo of the game that was the deciding factor on whether or not I would buy this game. You've seen the videos I've uploaded about the game and earned new subscribers because of it. I loved the demo and was on board with the Divine Force train, and I must say that Star Ocean is back, baby. Star Ocean was able to modernize the series while retaining some of the old school charms that the series was known for. What I respect the most about Tri-Ace, they pretty much released a fully complete packaged game. They aren't releasing any DLC for the title at all. What you see here is everything. I would say that the cast of characters were most enjoyable compared to the last 2 entries, and in fact, be some of my favorite among the Final Fantasy VII, Tales of Arise, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Scarlet Nexus party ensemble. Raymond wasn't a protagonist with a special gift. He was just some guy that was caught in the middle of unforeseen circumstances that ended up developing into a universal threat. That's what I like about this cast. They felt real, especially Leticia and her people. Their wonder and curiosity when coming in contact with off-world technology was always a thrilled experience for me. But most importantly, the combat is where the true heart of the game lies. There are over a few thousand weapons you can craft and customize. Just like the old school RPGs, there are a ton of side quests that doesn't even tell you exactly how to solve them. Building relationships with your party members will also spark optional story bits and content that will also impact the 16 different endings you may encounter by the time you complete the game. The combat is some of the best I've experienced in an action RPG in a very long time, and in fact it became an addiction. There are a ton of customization within the combat itself, and it encourages player creativity, allowing freedom to experiment with mechanics itself. The skill trees, item creation, and other mechanic makes this game feel like a complete JRPG package. I clocked in around 60 hours and could have gone farther if I wanted to because of the amount of side quests packed into this game. There's even in-game special dungeon after beating the game, so it's encouraged to go back into it again if you like. Overall, I walked away from this game completely satisfied, even though I had a major gripe with it, and that's the final dungeon of the game. Just like Live Alive Remake, the in-game dungeon is just complete filler and it drags the game out more than it needs to be, to which is become an annoying trend found in JRPGs. Now that we covered all 4 games, which game will claim 2022 JRPG of the Year? Before I reveal the winner, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications to stay up to date with all my JRPG and fighting game related content. Okay, here is my JRPG game of the year, and that game is Star Ocean: The Divine Force. I must say that this game had caught me by complete surprise. Tri-Ace and Star Ocean was the true underdog of 2022 JRPGs. I started out having no faith in this game to now my JRPG of the year. I just knew for sure that at the beginning of the year that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was going to be an automatic win, but this year has some incredible challengers for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and it ended up being somewhat of a letdown for me once I started exploring other options out there in the wild of JRPGs this year. Star Ocean: Divine Force proved that you don't have to be a AAA experience in order to be remembered. The game plays amazing, it's addictive, and it looks beautiful for the budget that the title was given. That's why I always advocate for more AA release titles, because everything doesn't have to always be a AAA experience. The developers at Tri-Ace said themselves that they was going to cram as much as they can and wanted to do more with the title, but couldn't because they didn't have the budget granted to them. But let's just hope that this game does so well in sales, we can get an even bigger budget Star Ocean game in the near future. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope you guys aren't disappointed with my choice, but I definitely want to know what was your choice as far as JRPG Game of the Year or just Game of the Year in general for 2022. Light up that comment section because I definitely want to know, and I'm just curious to see about your guys' taste and where your mind is at in terms of games in general. I definitely want to know, and it's going to be interesting, and make sure you formulate a discussion. I definitely want to see you guys having a conversation in the comment sections to why you guys chose your specific game to be the game of 2022. And remember, it doesn't have to be a JRPG, it can be a game in general for this year. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because it definitely helps you out here on this channel. And I just want to thank you guys, because this is the last video for 2022 coming from MugenLord himself, and I must say that this was an amazing year, and I really appreciate you guys for coming through and showing so much love and so much support. And you guys have pretty much influenced and helped me figure out where I wanted to take this channel for the future and where I wanted to go. And because I figured it out because of you guys, I just love the fact that gaming has become fun for me again. Now I have a reason to play JRPGs. Now I have a reason to go in and enjoy fighting games. It's because you guys have made it possible, and you guys have pretty much influenced and pushed me to be able to decide where I wanted to go with this channel. So 2023 is going to be an incredible year, and I hope you guys still continue to just stay on board direction that I'm going with this channel. So I appreciate it. I love all you guys, ladies, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next year. I'll be just doing a stream on New Year's Eve, so you guys want to hang out and chill, and we can just talk as we go into the New Year's of 2023. So this is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you Game Fiends later. Peace out.